Well, hi, boys and girls. This is math lesson 9.7, and we're going to be measuring with centimeters and comparing lengths, which means that we're going to be doing some subtraction. So get your subtraction brain on and get your centimeter ruler ready, and we will talk about how we can measure with centimeters and compare lengths. So first we're going to check in with Jessie Bear and see how they compare lengths on that video.
How do you find the difference between the lengths of two objects?
There are a lot of toy boats on the river today. I overheard some children talking about making a new sail for one of them. Let's take a closer look. The kids will color the new sail with a crayon and attach it to the boat with yarn. The crayon they're using is 8 centimeters long. The yarn is 10 centimeters long. I wonder how much longer the yarn is than the crayon. How could we find the difference between the lengths of the crayon and the yarn? Well, come on, let's find out.
Let's measure this paintbrush using a centimeter ruler. First, line up the left end of the paintbrush with the 0 mark of the ruler. Find the centimeter mark closest to the other end of the paintbrush. The paintbrush is 14 centimeters long. Now, let's find the length of this pencil. Line up the left end of the pencil with the 0 mark of the ruler. The pencil is 7 centimeters long. The pencil is shorter than the paintbrush. Can you think of something in your classroom that is longer than the paintbrush? Your teacher's desk is longer than the paintbrush. When you place a paintbrush on your teacher's desk, the paintbrush is shorter than the desk. The pencil is longer than the crayon. How much longer? You can measure to find out. Drag the ruler to line it up with the pencil, then click Check. The left end of the pencil is lined up with the 0 mark of the ruler. How long is the pencil? Select the length. That's right! The pencil is 10 centimeters long. Now drag the ruler to measure the crayon. Check your work when you're done. The left end of the crayon is lined up with the 0 mark of the ruler. How long is the crayon? That's right! The crayon is 6 centimeters long. How much longer is the pencil than the crayon? To find out, you can use subtraction. Place the number of centimeters for the longer object's length first. Place the number of centimeters for the shorter object's length as the number being subtracted. Drag numbers to make a number sentence about the problem. Check your work when you're done. That's right. 10 minus 6 is equal to 4. So the pencil is 4 centimeters longer than the crayon. Now let's practice with the... Now try your homework on...
Thanks for helping me figure out how much longer the yarn was than the crayon. See you soon!
Okay, so here we are with our paper, our lesson 9.7, and the title today is Measure and Compare Lengths. Our essential question is, how do you find the difference between the lengths of two objects? And the word difference means the answer to a subtraction problem. So we're going to be subtracting. And so what we want to pay attention to when we are subtracting is you always start with the biggest number, the greatest number, and subtract the lesser number, and that gives you the difference between the larger and the smaller. So if you have your ruler, your centimeter ruler, hopefully you have one, you want to make sure that it's turned to the centimeter side, and the centimeters are the numbers that are closer together. Centimeters are smaller than inches. A centimeter is only about the width of your finger, and if you are on the inch side, 1 inch is about 2 fingers. So centimeters, it takes a lot more centimeters to measure something than it does inches. And so if you look at my centimeter ruler, I have my little centimeter ruler right here. If I had it on inches, the numbers would be farther apart. So I want to make sure I've chosen the metric side. That's what a centimeter is. A centimeter and meters are metric measurements. So the first thing we want to do when we measure the paintbrush is, do we want to line up the edge of the paintbrush with the 0 or the 1? If you said at the 0, the very beginning, that is correct. And so try to see if you can measure the paintbrush on your paper with your ruler. And it might be kind of hard to see, but it ends up on 15. So the length of the paintbrush is 15. So we'll put a 15 in there, right here, 15. Okay, then we'll take our ruler down to the pencil, and we want to make sure that we line up the very beginning of the ruler with the beginning of the pencil, and then we follow it all the way to the end, and this line right here represents the end of the pencil, and it is on 8. So the length of the pencil is 8 centimeters. So we'll go ahead and put in 8 in our little answer place right there. And now let's see if we can move down to math talk. Name a classroom object that is longer than the paintbrush and explain. Well, we saw that in the video that things like maybe the teacher's desk or the student's desk might take several paintbrushes to go all the way across. And in the two objects that we see on our paper, the paintbrush and the pencil, which one is longer? The paintbrush. And which one is shorter? The pencil. Okay. And so are all pencils shorter than a paintbrush? Yes? No? Not always. It might be there might be a little small paintbrush and a big long pencil. And if you buy a special pencil, sometimes you can buy pencils this long, which is pretty long. Okay, so moving on to our next page. Okay, model and draw. How much longer is the pencil than the crayon? So if this pencil is 8 centimeters long and this crayon is 5 centimeters long, we have 8 minus 5. It's simple. We take the larger, subtract the smaller. And what is 8 minus 5? That is correct. It is 3. So we just write a 3. So the pencil is 3 centimeters longer than the crayon. That's the difference, because the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. Now we are going to do some measuring. We are going to measure the length of each object and complete the number sentence. So we're going to measure both of these objects. Get your centimeter ruler ready. Got it ready? We're going to measure. And then we're going to write a number sentence with the greatest number minus the lesser number will equal the difference. So get ready to measure. So with our centimeter ruler, we want to make sure that we line up the very beginning of the ruler with the very beginning of the object that we are measuring. So this looks like a little straw maybe, and we want to line that up right there at the edge, and then follow the numbers all the way to the end, and where the end of our object is, looks like it is 7 centimeters. So we want to write 7 centimeters. Oops. See if I can move my ruler here. Nope, my ruler won't move. Okay. Okay, so we want to put 7 right there for the little straw. And I've got my ruler lined up right now with the string. And of course, I want to line up the very beginning of my ruler with the very beginning of the string. And then I see where the end of the string takes me, and it looks like it takes me to 10. Okay, so get the ruler down here now, and let's put in a number 10 so we can see the numbers that we're going to be using. We're going to find the difference between the string and the straw. So the first number that we want to use, of course, is the number from the longest item, which is the string, and that is 10. So 10 minus the straw, 7, will give us the difference. Do you remember what 10 minus 7 is? I hope you do, I hope you do, because it's a 10, it's one of the tens facts. Okay, so 10 minus 7 is 3. Okay, so the string is 3 inches, not inches, centimeters. The string is 3 centimeters longer than the straw. So if we added 3 centimeters to the straw, we would have the straw and the string would be the same length. Okay, so moving down, we have a paintbrush. So remember, we want to be on the centimeter side of our ruler, not the inch side. The numbers are close together, and we want to line up the very end. I'm lucky on mine, it has an arrow, so where that arrow is, I know I'm supposed to line up the very beginning of the object. And I follow it all the way down, and it looks like it's at the 11, not the 10, but the 11. And if I were doing this in inches, I would only get 4 inches. So be sure that you're measuring with the right unit, and that is with the centimeter. Okay, so we want to put an 11 right here, 11 centimeters. And now we're going to measure the little toothpick, it looks like. And don't start on the 1, start at the very beginning. Line up the beginning of the ruler with the beginning of the object, and it looks like it ends on 5. So we're going to move our little ruler out of the way, and we're going to put a 5. And now we can see the two numbers that we're going to be comparing and finding the difference between 11 and 5. So it's actually going to be 11 minus 5. So we write in 11 minus 5. And do you remember what 11 minus 5 is? I hope you know your math facts. That would be 6. And if you ever want to check your subtraction, remember that you can add the answer, the difference, to the number that you're subtracting, and it should equal the largest number. So if I add 6 plus 5, it does equal 11. So I know that my answer is correct. So the paintbrush is how many centimeters longer than the toothpick? 6. Quite a bit longer. Okay, we're ready to move on to the next page. Of course, you can always pause the video if you need to. Or you can go back. Okay, so this says on your own. So it would be nice if you can do this part on your own. And then if you can pause it and do this on your own, that would be great. We'll go ahead and do it together right now. But try to do it on your own, and then we'll check the answers. Okay, well, hopefully you did these on your own, but here's my centimeter ruler. Okay, so if I line up the edge with the crayon and I go all the way to the end, I get 8 centimeters. So we want to put an 8 right there. And then I'll go ahead and measure the string. If I line up the beginning of the string to the end of the string, it's 10. Okay, so we want to put in 8 for the crayon and a 10 for the piece of string. So we're going to be comparing 8 and 10. Which one is longer? Yes, the string is longer. So I'll put this down here. So the string is longer, but we want to find out how much longer. So what we want to do is put the largest number first. That's 10. Then we want to subtract the shorter one for the crayon, 8. So 8 minus 10. And what is 8 minus 10? It is 2. Okay, so the yarn, or string and yarn, sort of the same thing, is 2 centimeters longer than the crayon. So not very much longer, but just a little bit. Okay, so then we go down to this string. Okay, so this string measures how many centimeters when it's lined up correctly? 9. And the paper clip is 5. Okay, so we want to write those numbers in. Okay, the string was 9. Oops, not 8, 9. And the paper clip is 5. So we're actually going to have 9 minus 5. So for our number sentence, we write 9 minus 5. And what is 9 minus 5? Or we could do it backwards. What number plus 5 equals 9? 4. Okay, so hopefully you figured those out on your own and got them all right. Okay, so now let's go down to our little math on the spot problem. Use a centimeter ruler, measure the length of your desk, or it could be a table or a countertop or something that you're using to write on, and the length of a book, and see, and let's try to find out the difference. So let's go to math on the spot first.
Hi, Joey. Why are you dressed like this?
Because Salesman Joey is back in town.
I love it. What are you going to try to sell me today?
It just so happens I have something you Professor Rena, I gonna love.
Ooh, what's that?
It's this math puzzle right here.
Oh, you are right. I am interested in math puzzles.
That is because a good salesman always knows his customer. That's right.
Very good. How about we read it?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's see. We are going to use a centimeter ruler today.
Oh, good.
And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the length of our desks and the length of a book.
How about that?
Yeah. Well, as it turns out, ladies and gentlemen in the classroom, your desk will have a different length than my desk, and your books will have a different length than my books. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure an image on this screen today, and then you're going to actually measure your own desk and your own book. Are we clear?
I love it.
All right. So first we're going to figure out in centimeters how long the desk is, and then calculate or measure how long the book is as well.
Excellent.
Okay? And we'll answer some questions later. Let's
love
take
it.
a look at the image that we have here. Here's the desk.
Yep.
Here's the book.
Yep.
And we want to measure each of these things. So let's begin with measuring the desk.
Perfect.
Okay, now this is a centimeter ruler, and recall a centimeter ruler measures up to 30 centimeters.
Okay.
Up to 30. And it's very difficult for you to read, I'm sure, because these numbers are so small even for me to read. But I will just tell you that first what you do is you line up the first tick mark on the centimeter ruler, which will correspond with the number 0. So you'll see the line with the 0 underneath. You just line that line up with the edge of the desk. Okay, and then you go all the way to the last tick mark on the ruler. Not the edge of the ruler, but the last tick mark before the edge.
I get it.
Yeah, and that represents the number 30. That is 30 centimeters from the leftmost portion of the desk to this position. Okay, then what we're going to do, so we know that far is 30 centimeters, and then we're going to slide this over so that the 0 tick mark lines up right where we left off, and then we measure all the way to the edge. And as it turns out, all the way to the edge is another 30 centimeters.
Oh, look at that. It sure is.
It lines right up with the tick mark for the 30. So what does that mean for the length of our desk?
Well, we have 30 centimeters.
Yes.
And then we have another 30 centimeters.
Yes, and mentally, what is that? 30 plus 30?
60?
That's right, because 3 plus 3 is 6. So 30 plus 30 is 60. Okay,
All
so
right.
let's write that in on the previous slide. The desk is 60 centimeters wide. Okay?
Excellent.
You ready to measure the book?
I am.
Great. All right, let's take a look now at measuring the book. We're going to take our centimeter ruler, and again, I'm going to line up the first tick mark, which corresponds to the number 0.
Yeah.
Okay, notice that I am not lining the edge of the book with the edge of the ruler. Actually, the ruler is sticking out just a little bit to the left because I'm lining it up with the first tick mark of 0. Okay?
Got it. Line the edge of the book up with the first tick mark on 0.
Well said. Good. And then we're going to see where the last tick mark is. It looks like it's at the number 20. Okay, so what that means is this distance right here from one edge to the other is 20 centimeters.
All right.
All right, let's go ahead and fill in the blank over here. The book measures 20 centimeters.
Yeah.
So, which is shorter?
Well, looks to me like the book is shorter because it's 20 centimeters.
That's right. Sure. And
60 is a greater number than 20.
yes, that's exactly right. And of course, if you looked at the picture, you would definitely agree that the book is shorter than the table, right?
Of course I knew that.
For sure. But you're absolutely right. The book is shorter than the desk. Now, how much shorter is the book?
Oh. Well, we got to figure that out.
Yeah, we do. So how about we do this mentally? How are we going to do this mentally?
Well, you have to subtract it, right?
Exactly
Is that
right, Joey. Yes. So we're going to subtract 60 minus 20.
Okay.
Mentally, what is that?
It will be 40.
40. That's exactly right, because we know 6 minus 2 is 4. 60 minus 20 is 40. So how much shorter is it? 40 centimeters.
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 That's a fun
right.
word to say, Professor Rena.
It sure is. Well done. Good job.
Hey, so, do I have a sale then?
Oh, Joey, as it turns out, I already have this puzzle.
What?
I do.
Oh, well, what am I gonna do with a secondhand math puzzle?
You could sell it to someone else?
Well, I'm a good salesman for sure, but I don't know if I'm that good. Oh. I'll tell you what, I'll even throw in the answer for free.
Joey, I already have the answer.
We have to negotiate about this, so have fun, everyone.
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that little video with Joey and Professor Rena. So if you have your centimeter ruler and if you found something that you could measure in your house, like a desk or a table, and you could also measure a book and then compare those, that would be great. If you didn't, well, we can just write in the numbers that Joey and Professor Rena came up with. So their desk that they measured, do you remember what that was? It was actually 2 rulers long, and a ruler is about 30 centimeters, and it was 30 and 30, which makes 60. And the book was not quite the whole ruler. It was 20 centimeters. So obviously the book was a lot shorter, but so what was shorter? We want to write the book. So we'll just write book. And how much shorter was it? Well, we can do a subtraction sentence. 60 minus 20, and that equals, well, 6 minus 2 equals 4, so 60 minus 20 equals 40. So that's how they got the answer on that one. Okay, so on the last page, we have some problems here. Let's see if we can get this up here for you. Okay, our first problem. Mark has a rope that is 23 centimeters long. He cuts 15 centimeters off. What is the length of his rope now? So cutting something off is like getting rid of it. It's subtracting it. It's going away. That's what subtraction does. So we need to do a subtraction problem here. So let's see if I can get my marker. So we want to start with 23 centimeters. That's what we start with. And he takes away 15. And of course, it's helpful if you underline the question, what is the length of the rope now? So imagine that you have a rope that is 23 centimeters. So write 23 and then subtract 15. Now I can see that if we're writing the problem out like this, that we're going to have to regroup because we always start with the ones. The ones are on the right, and then the tens, and then the hundreds if we had hundreds. And I know that since the bottom number is larger than the top number, we're going to have to regroup because 3 take away 5, you can't do without making a negative number. So we'll go over to the tens, take one of the tens away, which leaves us with just 1. And then we add that 10 to the ones, that makes 13. So we have 13 minus 5. So you can use, hopefully you know what 13 minus 5 is, but you can also think of what number plus 5 equals 13. So, let's see. 13 minus 5 equals 8. Okay, and then 1 minus 1 is 0, but we never really start a number with 0. So this is our answer, and 8 centimeters is the answer. So that is the length of the rope. If you start with 23 centimeters and you take off 15, you end up with 8. So the next problem is the yellow ribbon is 15 centimeters longer than the green ribbon. The green ribbon is 29 centimeters long. And here's our question. What is the length of the yellow ribbon? Okay, so what information are we going to use? We need to find out how long the yellow ribbon is, because it doesn't tell us. It just says that the yellow ribbon is 15 centimeters longer than the green ribbon. And the green ribbon is 29 centimeters long. So what we need to do is, do you think we need to add or subtract? I think we need to add, because we only know the length of the shorter ribbon, and that's 29. Okay, so if the green ribbon is 29, we put 29, and then I'm going to put a plus sign, and we want to add the 15 centimeters, because if the green ribbon is 29 and the yellow ribbon is 15 centimeters longer, then we add that. And we have to be sure that when we're writing numbers vertically like this, that we line up the ones and we line up the tens. And we also pay attention to the operation. The operation is whether we're adding or subtracting, or multiplying or dividing. So let's add 9 plus 5. So 9 plus 5 is 14. So that's 4 ones that we want to put in the ones column, and 1 10. And some people say that we carry that one up there. And we do. We carry the 110 up to the tens column. And then we add 1 plus 2 plus 1. And that is 4. So 44 centimeters, that is the length of the yellow ribbon. Okay, and for our last problem of the day, measure the length of each object. Which object is longer? How much longer? And then we want to explain. So let's go ahead and get our centimeter rulers. Okay, I've got my centimeter ruler lined up with the crayon. And hopefully yours is lined up too. And did you get 11 for the crayon? That's what I get when I line up the very first tick mark. That's the little line. And it ends on this little tick mark, which is 11. So if I want to remember that, maybe I can just write 11 next to the crayon, and abbreviation for centimeter is cm. Okay, and then I want to take the ruler and line it up with the little string, and it ends up being about 6. Hopefully that's what you got too for your answer. Move that up there, and just so we remember, we can write a little 6 centimeters right next to the string. Okay, but now let's look at our question. Actually, looks like I see 2 question marks. That means we have 2 questions. Which object is longer? And how much longer is it? So we can see that the crayon is longer than the string. So we can answer that question. And how much longer is it? So we know what to do to find a difference. We want to subtract. But look at this word right here. This is a verb, and it says explain. Because one way that we know that helps us understand math is to be able to explain how we got the answer. Sometimes the answer just pops into our head, and we're not really sure how that answer came into our heads, but when we stop and think about it and explain it, it will help us when we have to solve problems that are a little bit harder. And by being able to explain how you got it, you can figure out how to get a problem that could be even more difficult. So first we want to answer our first question, which object is longer? So let's write the crayon is longer. Now, how much longer? Let's explain. Okay, well, we can take 11 centimeters minus 6 centimeters, and what is 11 minus 6? It's 5. So how much longer is it? Well, we'll answer that question. The crayon is longer. Let's go back. We can put the crayon is, we can answer 2 questions in one. The crayon is 5 centimeters longer. And how did we find that? Well, we'll just explain. I subtracted 6 from 11 and got 5. And there's our answer. That's how we got the answer. So, or you could say, I wrote a number sentence, 11 minus 6 equals 5, or you can explain it any way that makes sense to you or makes sense to the people who are working with you. But you want to just be able to explain how you get an answer. So that is it for our chapter 9, measuring with metric units, centimeters and meters. And then tomorrow we'll be doing our test. So have fun with learning. Remember, go all around the house and outdoors and start measuring things with your ruler. See you at our next lesson.